empowerment of personalized medicine, proactive and preventive healthcare. This is very important. This is what we do not do in most of African countries. Most of us go to the hospital when we are sick. When we are not sick, we don't go. But it's better for us to know. Improve collaboration and communication. Cost effectiveness on the long run. It may be the cost may be high when you start, but if you put it together on the long run, it is much more cheaper for the organization. What are the challenges? Despite the transformative potential, the widespread adoption of digital technology in medical laboratory faces several challenges, and these include high initial investment. Because if you want to buy some of these things, it's very, very costly. Then, digital security privacy is also key. It's very, very key. Because we have to guard against cyber security to protect this information. Just that in Africa, most of us don't care. My VC, when during PEFA, they donated certain things to us. They were doing the laboratory investigation. Those laboratory investigations were doing, all the results were in America. Once you do it, it goes there straight. But let me shock you. One of my postgraduate PhD students is in Netherlands. He wanted to do PhD with us, or he did PhD with us. He wanted to collect their specimen to do this PhD. They bluntly refused. Say, who are you? Want to collect our information? They refuse. But here, we give it out. That is where cyber security comes in. Information about people is very, very important. Even this browsing we do, they will tell you, if you agree, you tick, you agree. Your information is going. It's going. So, interoperability issue. Several people can access that information at different times, at the same time. This is an issue. Need for skilled workforce requires a workforce with new skills. Training and retraining existing staff is crucial. Like I was telling the students yesterday in our induction, the fact that you have a degree, go and acquire more skills. If you want to be relevant, acquire more skills. Regulatory landscape require clear regulatory guidelines. Is validation processes to ensure the accuracy and reliability. Because these machines, we said they are robotic, it can be faulty at times. Because the calibration you put in is key. You need to check. Resistance to change. A lot of people don't want to change. Said, I prefer to do my glucose with glucose oxidase. And if another method comes, I remember glucose oxidase. You are going. Data quality and standardization. Accuracy and usefulness of big data analytics using AI depends on the quality and standardization of the data collected in the laboratory. Because you need more work to standardize the information. What's the future? The future of medical laboratory will likely see an increase in integration of artificial intelligence. More are coming. We'll become more deeply embedded in laboratory workflow, assisting with wider range of tasks and providing more sophisticated insight. It's coming. Growth of point-of-care testing and digital connectivity. Devices that perform tests outside the laboratory setting will be connected, more connected, transmitted directly to LIFs and other users. Advanced digital analytics and preventive modeling. Laboratories will play an even larger role in analyzing health data to identify trends, predict outbreak, and contribute to personalized public health initiatives. It will also efforts to create standardized data format and facilitate seamless data exchange across healthcare ecosystem will continue. Greater focus on cyber security as digital threats evolve, ensuring the security and privacy of laboratory data will remain a priority. We know that there's even a training now going on cyber security in Nigeria. Because of what I'm doing, I was not able to join. It is good for us if we see free trainings like that. Let us find time to follow them up. Development of new digital biomarkers. Analysis of digital pathology images, genomic data, and other complex data sets may lead to the discovery of new digital biomarker for disease diagnosis and prognosis. So, I ask a question. Will the application of digital technologies lead to job losses? The answer is no. It cannot lead to job losses. The only thing we do is transformation of roles and responsibilities of medical laboratory professionals. The demand of the laboratory testing is growing and will continue to grow. It will facilitate the handling of increased workload efficiently. Oversight and management of automated system. It's human being that will monitor it. Human being will manage it. Because you cannot just say you are using robotics. You set it up and you go and sleep. When you come, you will meet what you left there. So, greater roles for human beings. Validation and interpretation of data. It's human being that will interpret it, even though the machine will tell you this and that, but you will put it together. More work for us. Development and validation of new technologies. If a new technology come, you are the one to validate it. I remember during COVID, they saw Nigerian market was so big, and everybody was manufacturing COVID test kits and sending them to Nigeria. Thank God for the federal government of Nigeria that said medical laboratory council to validate those kits, and there were no more than 2 or 3 that were all right. All the rest, they were all fake. Assuming we were using them like that, what will happen? They will just rip us off like that. So, troubleshooting and problem solving. Any machine needs troubleshooting. If a machine is working, something will happen. You have to troubleshoot to repair what is going on. Consultation and collaboration will be facilitated. And that will help us to focus on specialized testing. Genomics, proteomics, metabolomics, and the rest of them. These are areas we have, it's in wide areas we have not even followed up. If you do, you will have new proteins among Africans that is different from the one we have among the Caucasians. And quality assurance and control. Therefore, acquiring new skill is what? Key. Is key. I want to crave your indulgence. Acquire new skill. Acquire new skill. if we want to be relevant. In conclusion, the application of digital technology is transforming medical laboratory practice and is doing so revolutionizing healthcare delivery. Apart from improving efficiency and accuracy, it is also enabling personalized medicine and enhancing accessibility. While challenges exist, the ongoing advancement in digital technology promise a future where medical laboratories are even more integrated to providing faster, more accurate, and accessible healthcare for all. Embracing this technology is essential for building a more resilient, efficient, and patient care healthcare system for years to come. I saw this. As you are doing this is your week. He said, it is National Laboratory Week. Thank the medical laboratory professionals. They are making doctors and nurses look smart. Therefore, lab professionals get results. So, we are all winners. Thank you for listening.
Please don't stop clapping. That's a wonderful lecture. Yes. He has shown why he is a teacher par excellence. Thank you so much, Prof, for doing justice to this keynote speech. Thank you. You all agree with me that Prof has done justice to this wonderful topic. Thank you and God bless you, sir. I will hand over the microphone to my colleague for the presentation of our award. After that, we're also going to listen to a very wonderful lecture coming from a man I have respect so much for. And he's going to speak to us on ethical and legal considerations for AI use in medical laboratory practice.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our keynote speaker today, the Deputy Chairman, represented all protocols to be observed. We once again want to appreciate Professor Mokbai for that beautiful lecture we all benefited. At this moment, we want to step to the next item on the program, which is presentation of awards. So first on our list, Meanwhile, I want to tell you that these awards were carefully selected by, these awardees were carefully selected by AMSIN, and they were found deserving of each of the awards that will be given. Before we commence with the award presentation, we want to recognize the presence of the Director of Medical Laboratory Services, Ministry of Health, Delta State. It's no other but Mrs. Percival. Please, we have a space for you. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. For those of us in private practice, we have been urged to complete our laboratory registrations. Meet Mrs. President, she will guide the appropriate. Then we also have in our midst comrades Victor is the ABBN chairman. You are welcome to the high table, please. We have a space for you. Let me help you with this. You're welcome, sir. So first on the list we have the Vice Chancellor, University of Delta, Professor Mrs. Stella Shieleke, here represented by Professor Naiho. We want to please have him come to the stage here for the award presentation to come and receive the award on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, University of Delta.
Vice Chancellor of University of Delta, Akko. I'm represented by Professor Naiho, the Institute of Clinical Sciences. I want to say thank the University Vice Chancellor for his dedication, most important, to serve his pragmatic approach to high quality of teaching or education. In brief, when the administration of Dr. Pamela visited the university, and we did our interest of the program of Department of Medical Laboratory Services, Science, established by the university, she took the keen interest. And when the time arrived, she didn't hesitate to go back and say, I want it now. For that effort, for that interest in the profession, we generate this award of excellence for doing that, and we are grateful.
Okay, next on the list is Honorable Shifegos Omo, Chairman House Committee on Health, represented by Honorable Emmanuel Maguriki. So we take the nominee for the award.
Let me just say a little bit of Honorable Ferguson. First day I met him, such a bright gentleman. He's so welcoming, open to discussion, and he listened to you with keen interest. When we presented our matter to him, he just told us right there I would handle it. And he became a friend of the profession. Like, even when he need information, he doesn't hesitate to call us and say, I want to see you to something. So he became a legislative of man that you can call on any time. Even this morning, yesterday we spoke and said he would be here. But when he woke, as early as 6:30, he called me and said, sorry, Chairman, I won't be able to get what I was saying. He's such a simple person. He has this mobility, leadership quality. But one is unfortunately to him and said, if there is a possible understanding, we would want to work with you in the house. He's such a humble man, I really appreciate him. The other the representative said earlier, when the issue of the bill of hospital came, he took it as a personal project. And today it's ongoing. And I have been calling to tell us what we need to do. So once again, I want to say thank you. Please send our long greetings to me. I was still appreciate it. So for that reason, I find it honor to be with this award for this morning.
Next on the list is, if you live in Warri and environment, there is a figure I know you must have seen, Safari Groups, Love Laboratories and Pharmacies, and we have an award package for pharmacist Johnny Amadason. He is the CEO, Western Hospitals and Safari Group, here represented by Edna Ibohi.
Let me just say a little bit of Amadason. He's a pharmacist who ventured into this thing, not only the pharmacy, but even medical laboratory services. But something was so peculiar about him. In all his laboratories, you could never see someone who is not a medical lab scientist in charge of that lab. He's someone who dare the medical laboratory practice. That he has reason to train and retrain everyone who is employed as a medical laboratory scientist into in-house Safari laboratories. So you don't value to quality practice. When we notice that in him, we felt he's also this award. So that grant, we are giving this award of a patriotic award to him as part of our appreciation for holding fast to what we call quality laboratory practice in medical laboratory science.
Next on the program is Deputy Governor, Delta State. Honorable Deputy Governor, Delta State, Chief Sir Monday John Oyene. He is here represented by Honorable Atuni Shuku.
Some of us were not be close to the deputy governor. When he was the chairman, Board of Internal Revenue, we were to hold a conference in Warri. And then, when we booked for a conference, suddenly they don't told us that not possible anymore. And we are faced with finances at that point in time that I need to, myself and Dr. Matthew. And right there, after I explained to him what we are for, he quickly approved the hall. If you have been in Warri, the headquarters Board of Internal Revenue, there's a very beautiful hall there. He quickly approved it and gave us all that we needed, all the support, even beyond our imagination for that program. And he did it successfully without paying a dime for the work. When he became deputy governor, I had an opportunity to meet him once, and I told him some of our activities in medical science in the past. Right there, he told me, give me a date, unfortunately we could not meet. While we stated what ways will help improve entrepreneurship in young medical scientists. He actually promised that as much as he has to do medical lab science, it's very, very much important. So all the effort to make sure that this thing work out, he has stated the program for this year. So while he has on his own improved the partnership with medical labs, he has given room to train some medical lab scientists, most of them are not able to do. But he has also promised to train more in the partnership program because we told you that medical laboratory practice requires training and investing into the program, of which is committed to doing even now and tomorrow. So for that reason, we find it on to present him a word of honor for being part of the progress development of the Association of Medical Scientists in the past states.
Okay, next is the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Health, Dr. Joseph Onajani. Now we have our Director of Medical Laboratory Services. She's here standing in dual capacity, also representing the Honorable Commissioner to receive the award.
Let us just talk a little bit of Honorable Commissioner for Health. Such a young man, pragmatic. When he entered office, we approached him and then some of the challenges the private sector of medical laboratories are facing. One of them is the issue in Ogara of having a private organization running the laboratories and using government staff in front of it. I told us to do something about it. Within 2 months, asked one of the private organizations that do it. As I speak with you, medical laboratory scientists in our teaching hospital are now the owner, the bona fide members of the management and are now running the laboratory there on their own without interference of any private organization. Ended. When we are pushing about the tax, double taxing of our private sectors, this is into action. We spoke with the Commissioner for Environment and they are working on something for the benefit of the medical scientists. Recently, there is establishment of the College of Health Technology, Science and Technology of the municipal non-government area. This has also put in place, of which there is no College of Health Technology without the medical scientists. We are with this. So we are still back in place. Employment is ongoing for medical scientists and many other persons are going to benefit from it. So on that note, the Association family will give them this award of excellence for, and this morning, this guy was saying, and this morning, they have also donated a huge amount of money for the profession for this exercise, which we will have very much. So for this work, we are very well to give them the award of excellence. Please convey our warm thanks.
Last on the list is Honorable Commissioner for Higher Education. Honorable Commissioner for Higher Education, Professor Solukari Jongul, will not know if there is a representative here among us because he couldn't make it. Is there any representative here among us? I'm afraid not. Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I'll put our hands together for the chairman for the presentation of our award. We want to sincerely apologize to His Excellency, ably represented here by the SSA to the Governor, for not starting from the top to the bottom. In such situation, it starts with the governor and other government officials before individual. Don't blame us, we are learning. Thank you very much, sir. Quickly, on a speed lane, I want to invite our guest lecturer, who is going to take us on the second lecture on ethical and legal considerations for AI use in medical laboratory practice. He is no other person than a man I have respect for, a former MBA chairman, Asaba Branch. Shall we? Before I invite my friend, we got a message that the Honorable Commissioner that is supposed to receive award sent in somebody, Dr. Kingsley, to receive the award for him. So I call on the chairman to do this presentation. Dr. Kingsley, please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Before we present this award of excellence to the Honorable Commissioner of Higher Education, let me just tell us one or two things, even more, that we have actually done. When he was approached for the establishment of the Department of Medical Laboratory Science in Delta State University, Abraka, then he was a lecturer then. All of us knew what took us to have the Department of Medical Science in Abraka. The departments and that faculty wanted to do the science. They were not willing. But he took it upon himself to bring the department to Faculty of Sciences. And he worked assiduously to make sure that that department came on stream. That effort was highly commendable. It was through his effort today we had the Department of Land Reform that we had that Department of Medical Sciences in Delta State University, Abraka. But over the years we have been clamoring and even making effort. Then the government knew that Delta State is really state in the whole of South-South, South-West, South-East, not offering medical science in the university. So the commissioner, the current commissioner, took it upon himself, along with the VC then, and that took place. And thank you, VC, to him for that. He also promised that, in as much as he remained the commissioner for higher education, he will work on the governor, the excellency, the right honorable Sheriff to make sure that other universities or Delta State government universities will have medical science. When AGO was created, he worked towards that. Southern Delta University now also has a department of medical science. But when I get in service, before the establishment of that university, he promised us that is also make sure that one was true. He even mentioned Osalibe University, the list of Osalibe University. I think that is also on stream now. So we want to sincerely send our warm greetings to him for having this determination, for contributing towards the growth and development of medical science in the past. Of course, Prof is here. I can tell you the kind people here, among the scientists down here, none of them is a product of the Delta State University as at the moment. Because they are yet to graduate the first degree students in the university. But they have made sure that this thing will come to reality. So we want to sincerely appreciate him, so our warm greetings to him that we really appreciate him.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Quickly, I will invite our guest lecturer, Barrister Precious Mwandemuya. Please pay attention. God bless you. You're welcome, sir. I want to quickly recognize Dr. Nwachukwu Ekpete, Deputy Director of Medical Lab Services, currently acting HOD Medical Lab Services. Shall we put our hands together for him? So you are most welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Let me quickly rely on the protocol well established by the MC at the beginning of this event so that I don't fall for what happened when they were presenting their awards. So nobody will accuse me of any breach. So I rest heavily on the protocol well established by the MC. But allow me to pay tribute to those to whom it is due by my own estimation. So first of all, I honor you, the representative of the Deputy Governor that is present here. At least the most senior man here. Welcome, sir. Thank you for coming. And also the host of this event, the chairman of the Association of Medical Lab Scientists of Nigeria Delta State branch. Thank you for inviting me. Let me also especially recognize my friend and brother. I realized that the professor also recognized him. In fact, he's the only person the professor called his name here when he came up. So let me repeat that because we have been in the trenches together. I call him Unsala Antonius Asiodu. It's good to see you again. It's good to see you again. I'll just briefly state the history that we have together. Maybe many of you know about it. The battle that the medical laboratory scientists fought at the Federal Medical Center, Asaba. It's a fight that is well known to many of you here. I was deeply involved. We were the ones in the trenches. We had a think tank consisting of Mr. Asiodu, PC Ajufo, and a number of others, including my brother Nwachukwu, and the rest they say is history. Fond memories for me, and also a mixed feeling because Ajufo is no more. I don't know if, with the permission of Mr. Chairman, sir, if we can do a 1 minute silence to honor his memory, because I'm sure he would have been here today. Mr. Chairman, sir, do I have your permission? Mr. Chairman. Maybe the chairman of the occasion. Do I have your permission, sir? Thank you. All right. So 1 minute silence on behalf of, in memory of, to honor the memory of PC Ajufo. I'm sure many of us know him. May the soul of PC Ajufo rest in peace. Thank you very much. All right. So, I've been told to discuss ethical and legal considerations for AI in medical laboratory practice, and I'm going to deal with just that. But before we go into that, please put up the... Yes, I have a quote that I found, just like Prof. found one too. So maybe I should start by saying greatest scientists. Yes. it says, I am a proud medical laboratory scientist. Without me, your doctor is just guessing. Is that correct? Is that correct? Uh-huh. So, but with the advent of artificial intelligence and all the things that Prof told us about earlier, do you think that that is still the case? Do you think that that is still the case? Well, we will see that in the course of our work. Because for me, I think there's an imminent threat. Okay? So it requires shine your eyes. All right, that's the watchword. Shine your eyes. Okay. Next slide, please. Now, what is the meaning of AI? What is the meaning of AI? What is your meaning of AI? Okay, artificial intelligence. I have some meanings here that you would like to see. The first one is absolutely intriguing. Absolutely intriguing. Yes, the results produced by AI sometimes can be weirdly fascinating, mind-boggling, sometimes in ways that we didn't expect. I have another definition that says artificial instincts. Artificial instincts. That is to say that yes, it can predict things, but it is because it is not a human being, it doesn't have the gut feelings that a human usually have that makes the human being to be cautious in even predicting those things or saying whatever it thinks about. AI just says whatever it thinks about without passing it through any filter. Then another one is algorithmic illusions. Algorithmic illusions. Illusions because sometimes AI decisions may look smart, but they are actually wild statistical guesses. Wild statistical guesses. For instance, while I was doing this research, I asked AI about something, and it gave me a statistics that about 85% of results produced for medical laboratory sizes through AI is, 85% accuracy. And when I checked the research, the documents that are available online, studies that have been done, I was told that is not correct, but AI just threw up that. So the thing can just be illusionary. Then I also have one here, automated irritant. AI can be irritating sometimes, for those times when it stubbornly insists it knows, whereas it doesn't know. For instance, I was arguing with AI this morning when it told me that it can convert my slides into PowerPoint presentation. That I should just put it in a Google link and upload. And after I did that, AI told me, sorry, I cannot access Google link. I said, oh, you told me that you can do so. He said, sorry, I didn't put it clearer. I said, this is not an issue of clearer. You just told me directly that you can do it, whereas you cannot do it. So I'm stubborn. And then astonishingly inept. AI can be astonishingly inept sometimes. For those moments when AI completely misinterprets some of the things in the most ridiculous ways possible. So that is some things you need to know about AI. I thought that I should draw your attention to this. Now, so we'll go into next slide, please. Okay, you gave me okay, yeah. Please just help me, okay, so that I can. Understanding AI and its application to medical laboratories. Before we do that, let's do the objectives of this presentation. The use of AI in healthcare nonetheless brings undeniable benefits, as Prof. Ably told us, but it also introduces critical, ethical, and legal considerations. This presentation seeks to examine the balance between innovation and responsibility. how medical laboratory scientists can leverage AI without compromising professional ethics, patient rights, and or legal compliance. The goal of this session is not only to inform but also to spark meaningful discussions among conference participants, so that by the end of this presentation, scientists should feel the need to critically evaluate the role of AI in their profession, identify potential risks, and contribute to the ongoing conversation about ethical AI adoption in medical laboratory practice. We'll go to understanding AI. Just follow me. Understanding AI and its application to medical laboratory practice. Just follow me. Don't mind them. Thank you. So we'll talk about what AI is. We have looked at some other earlier definition, but in reality, AI is artificial intelligence, and it refers to the development of computer systems that can perform tasks typically requiring human intelligence, such as learning, reasoning, problem solving, and decision making. AI systems rely on algorithms and large data sets to identify patterns, make predictions, and automate processes. Machine learning, which is a subset of AI, enables computers to improve their performance over time by analyzing data and learning from past experiences. Now, think of AI as a magical robot friend or a super smart helper that helps you carry out tasks and solving puzzles. This friend helper can think really fast, remember a lot, and help you to do things like answering questions, drawing pictures, or playing games. But the difference is that it doesn't have feelings or a real brain like you. It learns by looking at a lot of information and finding patterns and trends. So when you ask it something, it tries to guess the best answer based on everything that it already knows. And what that means is that if it doesn't know that thing, it will either guess wrongly or give you something based on another trend that it had already studied. So putting it differently, AI is like a very advanced computer program that can learn and make decisions based on information it is given. Instead of just following strict instructions like regular computers, AI can analyze patterns, solve problems, and even improve over time by learning from experience, similar to how humans learn. For example, AI helps smartphones recognize faces in pictures. That's why on social media, sometimes, or on your phone, you will see that there are some apps that can arrange all the pictures in your phone and identify you and say, this is this person, this is this person. If you have Google Photos in your phone, I'm sure you must have encountered that. It also suggests music or videos based on what you like, because it has over time known the pattern of music that you play in your device, and so it will select those type of music and suggest it to you to play. And then even assist scientists in diagnosing diseases. It is not alive and doesn't think or feel the way humans do, but it is designed to perform complex tasks quickly and efficiently, essentially making life easier by handling big amounts of data and finding small, smart solutions. Today, AI is widely used across various industries, including the healthcare industry. The legal industry is not left out, finance, transportation, education, and it is helping in enhancing efficiency, innovation, and speed in the way we do our work today in the world. Now, in medical laboratory practice, AI refers to the use of advanced machine learning algorithms and computational models to assist in various aspects of laboratory diagnostics, automation, and data interpretation. AI enhances laboratory efficiency by analyzing complex patterns in medical data, automating repetitive tasks, improving diagnostic accuracy. AI-driven technologies are revolutionizing medical lab practice by dramatically enhancing workflow efficiency, diagnostics, and data analysis and interpretation beyond the traditional capabilities that we used to know. So a lot is happening. Prof has shown us a lot in that regard as to what technology is doing, particularly AI. And now, in the area of diagnostics, we are aware that AI-powered tools such as digital pathology systems are being used to analyze medical images, helping detect diseases like cancer and infections at early stages and with greater precision. AI-driven hematology analyzers also assist in identifying abnormal blood cell morphology to diagnose conditions such as leukemia. AI-powered tools such as blood analyzers enhance the accuracy and the speed of disease detection. So the result of this is that there will be reduced turnaround time in the way we do our work in the lab and help improve patients' care. In the area of automation, the regular tasks that we carry out in the laboratory can be is now being supported by AI-driven robotic systems, which streamline routine lab processes such as sample sorting, labeling, specimen tracking, and quality control, reducing human errors, optimizing turnaround times, and increasing efficiency in high-volume laboratories. Automated systems in microbiology labs also assist in culture identification and susceptibility. Then in the area of data interpretation, AI enhances data interpretation by using algorithms to extract insights from large data sets, helping medical professionals to identify patterns, detect anomalies, and predict health trends. AI-powered predictive analytics also enable early detection and assist in tracking disease outbreaks by analyzing laboratory data patterns. This we saw in the case of the COVID-19 era. AI was deployed to help in predictive and tracking of disease outbreak. These advancements in data interpretation, automation, and diagnosis empower the medical laboratory scientists greatly to deliver faster and precise and more reliable lab results, ultimately leading to an improved patient care, optimized laboratory operations, and support for medical decision-making, while at the same time raising legal and ethical considerations. Now, talking about the ethical considerations. One, despite the exciting opportunities that the adoption of AI in medical lab practice presents, integrating it into medical laboratory practice raises important ethical concerns that must be carefully considered and addressed to ensure a responsible and fair implementation. These considerations revolve around patient privacy, bias in AI algorithms, accountability and transparency, and the role of human oversight. On the issue of patient privacy and data security, one of the pressing ethical concerns in AI-driven laboratory diagnostics is the protection of patient data. The protection of patient data. Our labs collect a lot of data, and it raises ethical questions. The need to use those data to help others, and at the same time, the need to protect the privacy of the patient. It's an ethical issue. It's an ethical issue, and so it raises that concern. There's also the issue of data security with the advent of cyber attacks and all that. The issue of data security is also a one of concern. AI systems, if not properly secured, may be vulnerable to cyber attacks, potentially exposing sensitive medical information to unauthorized third parties. Ensuring strong encryption and multi-layer security protocols and restricted access is essential. There's also the issue of consent, and particularly informed consent by the patient. Patients must be fully informed about how their medical data is being used in AI-driven diagnostics. Transparency in the consent policies put in place by institutions requires that individuals are aware of the implementation of the implications of AI-assisted medical laboratory, because immediately you feed in those data into the systems, you know, it becomes vulnerable. So it's important that the patient gives explicit consent and is aware of what and how the data is going to be used. There's also the issue of bias and fairness in AI adoption model, in AI models that are being adopted in medical lab practice. Now, because AI is not, it's limited in the sense that it is the information that is given to it that it learns with, that it uses to solve problems. So it is limited in spread in a sense. So if the model, AI model that is being used at any particular point in time, it's one that has always studied a large data set from a particular geographical location, then it may not be able to give the same results. For instance, if you use AI that model that is developed in the US, that was developed in the US with large data sets from people in the US, citizens of the US, all right, maybe the whites in the US, and then you bring such model to Nigeria, you know, among black people, and you want it to have the same pattern, it may not give you the same result. It may not give you the same result. In fact, there is a study, you know, that shows that AI models used for disease detection is usually trained on data that represents broad demographic range. If an AI system analyzing blood samples, for example, has been trained primarily on data from one ethnic group, it may be less accurate when applied to other populations, leading to misdiagnosis that Prof talked about. A study that was published in 2019 by Science, a journal, a medical journal, found that an AI algorithm used in the US healthcare exhibited racial bias by prioritizing healthcare interventions based on historical spending patterns, resulting in black patients being assigned lower risk scores despite having similar or health conditions. That model was designed based on those who usually attend that clinic, all right, and only those who had the money could go to that to access that care. And so when they were designing the model, they designed it based on the data that was available. And so when we apply it to black population who usually do not access care, because their data is not there, it gave a wrong result. So exhibiting bias. So how do you mitigate bias? Developers of AI technologies must ensure inclusive data sets, continuous validation, and regular audits to minimize bias. Ethical AI must be designed to serve all patients equitably, regardless of ethnicity, gender, or socioeconomic background. AI-driven medical predictions should be validated by human experts. Prof mentioned that to prevent bias from influencing patient care. Accountability and transparency is another big issue when we talk about ethical consideration. Who is responsible if an AI-generated laboratory result is incorrect or leads to harmful misdiagnosis? For instance, IBM Watson, an AI system designed to assist oncologists in cancer treatment, occasionally suggested treatments that were unsuitable for real patients, as it had been trained mainly on hypothetical cases rather than actual patient data. The determination of the person liable in this scenario is an example of an accountability challenge that is inherent in AI adoption. We shall deal more with this in detail when we talk about the legal considerations. But suffice to say now that the issue of accountability is crucial in AI-assisted medical decision-making. Therefore, AI should not be allowed to operate in isolation. AI tools should support medical professionals, not replace human beings or human judgment entirely. Medical laboratory scientists must verify and interpret AI-generated insights before making diagnoses and conclusions. Transparency of AI decisions. AI models must be explainable. So the scientist must be able, who is applying or who is adopting AI, must be able to explain the process that the AI used in arriving at that process, and not just to rely blankly on the algorithm. Transparency enhances trust and improves patient care. There is also the human and AI collaboration. AI is a powerful assistive tool, but should never replace the expertise of medical scientists. Ethical concerns arise when over-reliance on AI leads to reduced human oversight, potentially causing errors in diagnosis. You know, the generation of people we have today are people that technology has helped a lot, and so they believe in soft life. You hear words like soft life. Okay, I don't want trouble. And so if you allow them, adopt AI wholly without any regulation, then the likelihood that what Prof was saying before, they can just impute the thing and go and sleep. And of course, AI will produce the results, and maybe the system even allows the result to be sent automatically. While the man is sleeping, the result has been sent without supervision, without validation, without checking from the medical laboratory scientists. So policies must be strict in this area. That's why I asked that question before. Policies must be strict in this area. Oversight is a concern, in AI adoption. Implement guidelines and continuous ethical training. It is important that the Association of Medical Lab Scientists, alongside or alone or in collaboration with other stakeholders, must design and adopt guidelines as well as implement continuous ethics training for professionals working with AI in laboratories. This ensures responsible use while upholding patient safety, professional integrity. For instance, in our own profession, the Nigerian Bar Association, recently we adopted the guidelines for the use of artificial intelligence in the legal profession in Nigeria. And we are available to offer our services in this regard to the association to design a strict guideline for the use of artificial intelligence. Now we'll move to the legal frameworks governing AI in Nigerian medical labs. Now in Nigeria, we have some key legislations. The ones that govern the practice of medical lab scientists directly include the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigerian Act of 2003. This is the primary legal instrument governing the activities of medical lab scientists in Nigeria. This law establishes the legal framework for the regulation and governance of medical lab practice in Nigeria. It outlines requirements for admission, practice, and discipline of lab scientists. Then there is the rules of professional conduct for medical laboratory scientists, medical laboratory technicians, and medical laboratory assistants that was made in 2018. This is a subsidiary legislation made pursuant to the Medical Lab Science Act. and it governs the practice of medlab in Nigeria. The rules set out ethical standards and guidelines that all lab scientists, technician assistants must adhere to in the course of their professional duties. These rules are crucial for maintaining professionalism in the profession and are relevant in the application of AI. The various rules set out there talks about confidentiality and privacy and a lot of other provisions that are contained in the Act, in the rules of professional conduct. They are applicable to the adoption of AI in medical lab practice. Then we have the National Health Act of 2014. The National Health Act serves as Nigeria's foundational healthcare legislation, providing a legal framework for healthcare delivery, data protection, and ethical medical practice. While not explicitly drafted for AI, its provisions apply to AI-driven medical diagnostics in the following ways. One, we talked about patient rights and confidentiality. The law says that we must ensure the confidentiality of patient information, and so it makes AI systems accountable for securing medical records. Then there's also the issue of quality assurance, requiring institutions using AI-assisted diagnostics to uphold standardized medical practices and validate AI-generated results. Then it talks about legal liability for medical errors. Legal liability for medical errors. So if an AI-driven diagnosis leads to a wrongful medical decision, liability falls under the legal definitions of malpractices under the Act. We also have the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation of 2019, the NDPR. The NDPR was introduced to safeguard personal data, including healthcare information. It safeguards it from misuse and unauthorized access, and it plays a key role in AI ethics for medical laboratories in the following ways. One, mandating explicit consent. AI systems processing patients' lab results must obtain informed consent before personal medical data is used. Restricting data sharing. You know, Prof was talking about uploading a slide online and for people to comment, maybe for collaborative work. You must obtain the consent of the owner of that result. That's the requirement of the law before you do such thing. Otherwise, you'll be guilty of data breach. Okay? Then restricting data sharing, enforcing accountability. Healthcare institutions are required to appoint data protection officers to oversee AI-related measures. We also have the Nigerian Data Protection Act of 2023, which builds upon the NDPR. All right, and it offers more extensive legal provisions for the governance of AI healthcare in AI governance. Then we also have the General Application and Implementation Directive, the guides that was made that was issued on March 20th, 2025 this year. You know, that piece of legislation, the subsidiary legislation, was released by the NDPC, pursuant to its powers under the NDPA. And with the issuance of that legislation, the NDPR, as from September 2025 of this year, September 19, 2025, it will no longer be applicable. Only the guides will now be applicable. And then we also have international regulations, such as the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, which is applicable in the EU and the EEA. And then also we have the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which applies in the US. These pieces of legislation, even though they do not apply directly in Nigeria, can provide insights for Nigerian medical professionals and policymakers to draw lessons from. Now, liability issues. For AI-generated medical lab errors. When an AI system generates an erroneous lab result, the legal landscape quickly becomes a web of interdependent responsibilities that challenge traditional notions of accountability. The crux of this issue lies in the fact that the integration of AI in diagnostics blurs the line between the tool used and the person who is using it, the autonomous actor. Now, who are those who participate? We have the developer. The developer of that AI tool has a responsibility that encompasses rigorous testing, validation, and even an ongoing commitment to monitor the AI's performance in variable clinical scenarios. Then the healthcare institution that has agreed to deploy that AI tool. At the same time, that institution is not just a mere bystander. It must implement risk management and human oversight, because failure to do so can result in legal claims for misdiagnosis. There's what we call then the lab scientist who is adopting the AI in diagnosis also shares liability. Scientists must verify AI outputs and avoid blind reliance, because if anything goes wrong, he is also equally liable. While AI-driven healthcare errors are still a developing legal field, some cases have set precedents regarding liability. Courts often examine whether AI was used as a tool or as an autonomous decision maker. In some cases, liability has been assigned based on the failure to properly oversee AI recommendations. We also have the intellectual property and AI algorithm considerations. In today's developing landscape, AI have emerged as an essential driver of innovation in healthcare. At the heart of this debate is the notion of ownership. Who truly holds the right to this groundbreaking insight? Who owns the results produced by AI? On one side, the technology itself is the product of vast investment in research, data collection, and algorithmic tuning by a specialized developer. The complexity deepens when traditional legal frameworks such as patents, copyrights, and trade secrets are applied to these AI algorithms. But what is clear is that despite these issues, the World Health Organization is pushing for open AI in the sense that irrespective of who owns what, it should be used equitably to benefit mankind and to benefit all. Now, there's also the issue of consent, which I mentioned earlier. Patients should ideally provide explicit consent when AI is used in their diagnosis. However, current regulations say, for instance, in some jurisdictions, they mandate you to disclose when AI contributes to medical decisions. Others do not require explicit consent. But in Nigeria, the NDPA requires consent when you are using AI. Evolving informed consent processes. As AI integration grows, informed consent must adapt transparency, education, and the opportunity to opt out. The patient should be given the opportunity to opt out. The importance of transparency cannot be overemphasized because it breeds trust. It breeds trust. Trust in AI-driven healthcare depends on transparency. The AI model adopted should be explainable. You should be able to explain the decisions the decisions should be interpretable to both medical professionals and the patient. And then accountability. There should be clear documentation of the involvement of AI in ethical medical practice. And then lastly, regulatory compliance. Institutions that are adopting AI use must comply and align their usage with legal standards. In conclusion, final thoughts. AI is a powerful tool, but it must be wielded with ethical responsibility and legal compliance. According to the Director General of the World Health Organization, AI is already playing a role in diagnosis and clinical care, drug development, disease surveillance, outbreak response, and health systems management. The future of healthcare is digital, and we must do what we can to promote universal access to these innovations and prevent them from becoming another driver of inequity. Call to action. What are we expecting from you as a medical lab scientist and then from the association? While regulations provide for the larger frameworks, the legal framework, the association must take an active role in ensuring and pushing for the enforcement of compliance. And some of the key responsibilities include: 1, establishing AI governance policies. Establishment of AI governance policies. The association should not take the back seat. It must engage with hospitals, diagnostic centers, and research institutions to develop clear AI governance frameworks that align with regulatory requirements. This would take the form of ethical AI committees to oversee AI adoption and ensure compliance with patient safety standards. There's also the need for periodic AI audits to assess bias, accuracy, and data security risk. Ensuring patient consent and data privacy. Medical institutions must implement transparent patient consent policies before using and adopting AI in diagnosis. AI-driven medical lab systems must provide patients with clear explanations of how AI processes their health data, and they must adopt encryption-based storage solutions to prevent unauthorized access to these data. Then the issue of training of laboratory professionals in ethics and compliance to prevent misuse or over-reliance on AI. The association and other stakeholder institutions should train laboratory scientists on the ethical use of AI-driven diagnosis, educate health workers on the regulatory updates and other AI-related liabilities, as we have mentioned earlier. Then there is also the need to strengthen cybersecurity for AI-driven systems. The association should advocate for medical labs to establish advanced cybersecurity protocols to protect AI-generated medical records from data breaches, implement multi-layer authentication for such systems in their institutions, and then conduct regular security assessments to detect vulnerabilities that are inherent in those software. Then there is also the need for collaborative engagement with regulatory bodies. The association must work closely with medical institutions and the Nigerian regulatory agencies to remain updated on AI healthcare policies. They should participate in policy development discussions to shape AI healthcare regulations to avoid being skimmed out of AI adoption in healthcare systems. This is the reason why I asked the first question I asked at the beginning of my presentation about whether or not doctors are still guessing. Now, the AI systems are available to them. All right? The AI system, just the way it is available to you, is available to them. And if there is no policy that restricts the adoption of AI to medical lab scientists specifically, and then they develop policies without the input from medical lab scientists, the likelihood of a threat exists. I don't know whether you understand what I'm talking about. Yes. the livelihood of it, because it is available to them and they can use it. Okay, for instance now, somebody, you can, as a medical lab scientist, you are not a lawyer, but you can go online and just ask AI question about law, and it may tell you the truth, it may tell you lie. Okay, you know. So, but the likelihood that it will give you a fairly correct answer is there. I don't know whether you understand what I mean. So it's the same thing also for laboratory practice, because his own is diagnosis. He wants to tell the patient what to do. He can rely on AI's tools to do it and then skim the lab scientists out. So the association and other stakeholders in the medical lab scientist world should ensure they participate in policy development discussions to shape how healthcare institutions adopt and use AI to avoid being skimmed out in the system. And then we must engage healthcare law experts to ensure legal compliance in AI adoption. As I mentioned earlier, we are always available for your service. I want to thank you for listening, and I hope that I have been able to convince you and not to confuse you that you must consider the legal and the weighty ethical considerations in the adoption of AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pastor Precious Mwadimuya, for that beautiful lecture. Shall we put our hands together once more for him? Thank you so much. You have done justice to that topic. And I hope our members or Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria will understand what he's saying and look at the legal implication before having a total decision or relying so much on artificial intelligence. Quickly, we are moving to the last lecture before our break, and it's not going to take much of our time. I think at least 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, and that lecture is to be given by Dr. Collins Ajekuko. Shall we put our hands together for Dr. Collins Ajekuko? Welcome, sir. Very I introduced you, but you are not here. Welcome again. Thank you and God bless you.
Good afternoon, the high table. All protocols to be observed. Mine is actually going to be a very brief lecture because we are talking to ourselves. All right, as we patiently wait for the upload of the presentation, I'll be talking briefly on emerging technologies in diagnostic medicine, disease prediction, and management. So we are in a familiar terrain. It's going to be centered on the work we do every day and looking at new innovations about what we do. Technical Simapa. All right, while we wait for that to happen. All right, so my presentation is going to be on emerging technologies in diagnostic medicine, disease prediction and management. The presentation outline is going to run through introduction, rising cases of global disease burden, traditional diagnosis and their limitations. Please, next slide. Emerging technologies, emerging technologies in diagnostic medicine, challenges, ethical consideration, and then we'll make some recommendation. I'd like to take this quote. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. So if you keep on doing something over and over the same way, you are not going to expect any new results. So you need to embrace change, and I think it's because of that change that you and I, we are here to know and to hear what is the latest. How differently can we do what we've been doing? So that's the quote by Jim Rohn. Another quotation is that technology should enhance our abilities and not replace them. The future of diagnostic lies in a harmonious partnership between human insight and machine intelligence. The lawyer has been talking to us about AI and the law and our practice. Therefore, it is your human insights that should now work with the machine to be able to achieve the outcome that you desire. This is according to Atul Gawande. He's an American professor and a surgeon and also an author. The world is experiencing a global burden of rising cases of chronic disease by the day. All you hear now is somebody slumped and died, slept and didn't wake up again. You know, there have been rising cases of challenges like that, infectious diseases, hematological disorder. Commonest among us is the sickle cell anemia. 1 out of 3 adults suffer from at least one chronic disease condition, while about 16 to 57% of adults suffer from multiple chronic diseases. Cardiovascular disease are a leading cause of death worldwide, with almost 17.9 million deaths per year globally, while an estimated 552 million persons in developing countries are predicted to have diabetes by 2030. And that is alarming. That is frightening. Yeah. Infectious diseases caused by microorganisms are increasingly changing disease patterns and impose a significant burden on the global health system, causing high morbidity and high mortality rates, while hematological disorders are increasingly resulting from qualitative and quantitative alteration of the genetic makeup. So if you talk about hematological conditions, the first thing that crosses your mind is the genetic makeup is altered, and so there's going to be abnormality. Traditional diagnostic method, with all these disease conditions we mentioned now, reflect back into your lab and see what do you do when you want to diagnose malaria. You go back to your tick and tin film, am I right? That's a traditional way of doing it. We fall back to that. If you want to do your culture, you take your sample, you do your culture, microscopy, gram staining. That has been our tradition, isn't it? Do we expect the change? No, because we are doing the same thing over and over again. Identification of bacteria mostly based on morphological and phenotypic characteristics. You can observe cytostatic effect of viruses in tissue cultures. Biochemical methods to differentiate types of microorganisms based on their characteristics. You want to do biochemical to differentiate between your Staph Staphylococcus and Staph aureus. You do biochemical analysis. Immunological assay, blood group genotype, antigen, antibody principle. You want to do you want to examine your blood film. You prepare your tick and tin film. That has been the tradition. Now, this tradition this traditional method we have been adopting to do our investigations for the purpose of disease diagnosis. We all agree that one, it is time consuming. Two, it is subjective to interpretation, especially without test. You see 1/320, 1/160, 1/40, they are all subjective. Then workload pressure, yes. You say, I went to FMC, they said I'm going to give a result in 2 days' time. It's the workload that is issue, not because people are not working. So, there is a problem there because these are limitations to the traditional way we do things. You could estimate the length of time it will take you to do an MP. It's either you're going to take all the samples and then start processing at the same time. If not, if you process one sample at a time, you end up standing up all through the day just to do an MP. Then, expertise scarcity, skilled scientists are scarce, especially in our settings. So these are limitations of our traditional way of doing things. Therefore, we need to look at emerging technologies, especially in laboratory medicine. Emerging technologies in laboratory medicine are a beacon of hope for early diagnosis, disease detection, reliable and accurate disease risk predictions, and opportunity for personalized treatment. You will agree with me that over 70% of clinical decisions depend on the result that we generate. True or false? That is it. So because the clinicians will rely on what we are going to the result we're going to generate for them to take a decision, then we have to look at how we can make a change, how we can do things differently. So look at some emerging technologies. Barrister has talked so much on artificial intelligence and its implication based on the kind of work we do. So AI is a new concept that is entering everywhere. We have the PCR, preliminary chain reaction, that became very, very prominent during the COVID-19 era, recent past. Nucleic acid testing and sequencing, clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. These are some of the few emerging technologies that we just talked about. Artificial intelligence refers to a system or algorithm within a computer that is capable of mimicking the human rationale by learning and applying this algorithm-based form of rationalization to complex processes such as problem-solving, decision-making, creativity, and autonomy. That is AI. It tends to mimic how we think. So you need to train the AI in the way you want it to think so that it can facilitate a process. Fortunately, and of advantage is because it deals with a lot of data. Artificial intelligence is a rapidly evolving field of computer science using a combination of various techniques such as the machine learning, the deep learning, and the natural language processing to analyze large data sets to identify complex patterns. That is the way it works. So you must rely on these techniques to be able to interpret or give an idea or a decision about the patterns he has. Based on the large volume of data, can make a pattern out of it. Machine learning technique uses data as an input resource. So for machine learning, you must impute data into it. So that is the input data, that's the resource it relies on. And the accuracy of machine learning is highly dependent on the quantity as well as the quality of the data you are imputing. For instance, if you want a computer to give you an impression of how or what the blood film looks like, you are going to feed those informations into the system. And you are going to label them, the ones that are normal, you label them as normal. The abnormal films, you label them as abnormal films. And then it is going to now study the pattern of the films. So anytime it comes across that kind of information, it can readily tell you this field belongs to this class. That is how it works. So that is the machine learning. In disease diagnosis, machine learning uses an algorithm to analyze large data sets of medical information to identify patterns and predict disease outcome. So it is the data that the machine, the computer is being fed with, that is going to now give it an idea to say, yes, this is the pattern, this is this. So it's a training. You train, just like you train humans to know how to do something, you are now training the machine to do that. Steps in machine learning: data collection and preparation by gathering relevant medical data, including patients' records, images, and genetic information. Feature extraction by identifying relevant features from a data that are indicative of a specific disease. So if you feed information into the system, the purpose of machine learning is that you are going to say for every cell you see that has this size, if the size is more than 7 microliters, that will be classified as this macrocytic cells, microcytic cells. So by the time you feed such information into it, the machine learning will make it to recognize that for every cell that is below this diameter, this is the information. For any cell that is with this dimension or this characteristics, it gives it a name. So that is how it will be able to predict. Then you do model training by selecting and training appropriate machine learning algorithm, such as supervised learning, unsupervised learning, or deep learning models to analyze a complex data. So after you feed the data into the system, you are now going to train the machine on what features those data reflect or determine, and then it becomes part and parcel of it. You will memorize those informations, and then by the time it comes across any information like that, it quickly tells you this is what it's all about. Then prediction and evaluation using the trained model. So after you have trained the model, then it is going to be able to predict the information that you are giving. And that's how it's going to classify the patient. Deep learning utilizes convolutional neural networks, CNN, and data mining techniques to model complex patterns in the data. That is how the deep learning works. And then the natural language processing focuses on interaction between the computers and human through natural language. For example, for the machine to now say, you will use an auto-analyzer, it will flag up to say, anistocytosis. That is the human language, but the machine has been trained to be able to understand that language. So let's look at polymerase chain reaction. It's a molecular diagnostic technique that allows for the rapid amplification of specific segments of target DNA million times, enabling the detection of even extremely small amount of genetic material. That is the principle behind polymerase chain reaction. What it does, it looks at the particular area of interest of the DNA, the section you're interested in, and then it amplifies it into millions of copies. During the COVID, this technology was being adopted. Why? Because the coronavirus itself, they have determined the sequence already, and then the location it is. So what you do is collect a sample from the oropharyngeal region, and then subject it into the PCR technology, and then it amplifies the target DNA as it were. That is the way it works. So the PCR provides highly sensitive and specific results, especially in the early stages of viral infection. That was how they were able to use it to determine people that were symptomatic and asymptomatic. We have variants of the PCR. We have the real-time PCR, which performs the DNA amplification and simultaneously measure the amount of amplified DNA in real time. That's what we call the real-time PCR. So as it is amplifying, it is also quantifying. And then it is connected to a system where you now see the graph. So whatever the PCR, the thermal cycler is doing, it is being read real time. Then we have the multiplex PCR technique, which enables simultaneous amplification of multiple targets. While the real-time PCRO is specific to a particular target, the multiplex PCRO is able to amplify multiple targets simultaneously within a single reaction. Next slide. Application of PCRO in disease diagnosis, detection of viral infections at early stage, measures viral load to monitor disease progression, and response to antiviral treatments. You can see how it's now connected to what we do for the purpose of diagnosis. Detection of bacterial infections faster than the traditional culture method. When you take your urine sample and you culture, the next day you observe for growth, and then you raise your sensitivity as it goes. Then the patient come back in 3 days time for a result. But with the entrance of PCRO, results are generated very fast, and it also has the ability to detect antibiotic resistant gene because it's dealing at the molecular level. We look at the loop-mediated isothermal amplification, which is another technology. It's a rapid and sensitive molecular diagnostic technique that can amplify DNA or RNA at a constant temperature, unlike the PCRO. That's the difference in it. For the PCRO, when you're running PCRO, you first of all increase the temperature to about 94 degrees to be able to denature your DNA, and then you bring down you reduce the temperature again to about 56 or thereabouts to enable annealing of the primers to the DNA sequence, and then you increase it again for elongation to take place. But for the lab technology, it uses a single temperature to run. It is suitable in resource-limited settings and field work, and does not require the use of expensive thermal cycler. What makes the PCR very expensive is because of the thermal cycler that has the ability to change the temperatures as required. So for this technology, it doesn't require thermal cycler. So the test result time is very, very minimal. Just within an average of about few minutes, your result is out. That's the technology. But it has some limitations. The primer design for LAMP is quite complex. LAMP is dynamically optimized for detection of single pathogens, and then it's susceptible to non-specific amplification. Those are some of the limitations it has. Let's look at nucleic acid testing and sequencing. You look at the next generation sequencing after you have amplified your DNA, your RNA, as the case may be. You now go to sequencing. So you sequence the DNA. So next generation sequencing is a new technology, and this is based on the Sanger sequencing technology, which allows the simultaneous sequencing of numerous DNA and RNA molecules. It is a high-capacity technology, sensitive and rapidly analyze genetic materials and identify genetic variations and mutations. So it's very, very useful. These are the various steps. The first step is construct library, clonal amplification, sequence library, and analysis of your data. So we'll look at the first step. The 4 basic steps in next generation sequencing is the NGS library preparation. The sequencing library must be created for the sample, and the DNA or the DNA sample is processed into relatively short double-stranded fragments. So it has the capacity to run about 100 to 800 base pairs. Clonal amplification for NGS. Prior to the sequencing, the DNA library must be attached to a solid surface and clonally amplified to increase the signal that can be detected from each target of the sequence. Perform sequencing of the NGS library. All the DNA in this library is sequenced at the same time using the sequencing instrument, and then analyze next generation sequencing data, generated large quantities of complex data consisting of short DNA reads using its own algorithm and data analytical tool. This is where the AI comes in to be able to interpret the volume of data that has been generated. Next slide. Application of the next generation sequencing. One, it's application in genomic, transcriptomic, proteomic research, as well as metagenomic and microbial diversity studies. So it has a wide range of application. The NGS technology plays a role in detecting pathogens, identifying antibiotic resistance and virulence pathogens. It's also used for epidemiological monitoring of pathogens and understanding their spread dynamics. It also has its own limitation. One, it's an expensive procedure, and it also requires technical expertise. So for you to use next generation sequencing, you must be trained on how to use it. So let's look at the clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. This diagnostic method is based on clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats and the CRISPR-associated protein technology. CRISPR are segments of DNA containing short, repetitive sequence that uses the endonuclease enzyme, Cas9 enzyme, to cut DNA at specific location. This technology is adopted in such a way that if an infection or a foreign body that has nucleic acid enters into the system, because this CRISPR has been trained, it is able to target that particular location of the foreign DNA, like the plasmid that causes resistance to bacteria. It's able to excise and cut it off. That is the technology for CRISPR. Next slide. The mechanism, the process works by acquisition of fragments of viral DNA and integrated into the host genome. So first of all, the particular fragment of that viral DNA is integrated into the host, so that upon subsequent infection, these particular CRISPR sequences are transcribed and processed into CRISPR RNAs that guide the protein, Cas9 protein, to complementary viral sequences, leading to cleavage and inactivation of the invader. So it is principally used to be able to prevent this gene resistance that results as a result of frequent exposure of these organisms to either drugs or insecticides, as the case may be. So that is the principle. What are the prospects of emerging diagnostic technology? What are the prospects? The systemic integration of artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies into the analysis of molecular diagnostic data holds a great prospect for laboratory diagnosis. Yes, because the artificial intelligence has the capacity to interpret large volumes of data. Now, the PCRO and other emerging technologies generate millions of data. Therefore, integrating artificial intelligence into these technologies will actually do us a whole lot of good. And then it's going to help us overcome the traditional way we always carry out our work in the laboratory. So that is the prospect. Using artificial intelligence in the analysis of large-scale genetic data will rapidly detect and classify pathogens, thereby significantly reducing diagnostic time and minimizing human error. You will all agree with me that our traditional way of running investigations, laboratory investigations, are prone to human error. We talked about the interpretation of your WIDA result. That's why oftentimes we just say, I don't believe in WIDA test, because today it is 160, 1 over 160, tomorrow it's 1 over 140, as the case may be. So integrating AI into this our new emerging technology that focuses on the molecular level of every organism is going to enhance our practice and reduce that human error interpretation. AI-assisted analysis will increase the accuracy in identifying antibiotic resistance and genetic variations in pathogens, enabling more precise results for determination of appropriate treatment options. Yes, because by the time we integrate AI to analyze and interpret the volume of data that are generated with these new technologies that focuses on the molecular level of these organisms, it will tailor treatment options by the clinicians. The development of portable and low-cost molecular diagnostic device will enable the expansion of rapid diagnostic tests in the field and in the rural area. Yes, because as the technologies are evolving, the engineers, they are also thinking, which other way can we do this thing better? I think we have a very small PCR machine now. When it started, it was a very bogus machine. Okay? So as technology begins to improve, because I'm also looking at the cost implication. If the cost of material begin to increase like this, it means that people cannot access quality diagnosis. So the idea is to now create portable point of care devices that will use the same original principle from the emerging technologies to make it available even in rural settings. Integration of AI and machine learning into molecular modern technology will enhance genetic profiling and the identification of individual disease risk, allowing for more effective treatment plan. Clinical and ethical challenges. Like I mentioned, cost and infrastructural requirements. These technologies are not cheap to come by, so it is actually a challenge. Data privacy, just like the lawyer said when he was making his presentation, data privacy. The acquisition of sensitive information about individual genetic data could raise ethical concern and issues related to data security. Because by the time a whole human being is sequenced and a lot of information is generated from there, if there are no legal instruments to protect such, it becomes a challenge. And because it's a new technology that is coming up, those legal frameworks have not been put in place. So the challenge of data privacy comes in as we begin to embrace these new technologies. In conclusion, the emergence of technologies such as the PCR, NGS, and CRIPS has transformed laboratory diagnosis by enabling the early detection and identification of pathogens and diseases. This is the truth of the whole matter. If you can use result for UTI and you are using 3 days to generate traditionally, the difference is clear, isn't it? Good. So the emergence of this technology will help in early detection and identification of pathogens and diseases. However, the high cost and infrastructure requirement associated with these technologies, along with the need for skilled personnel, still poses a great challenge, particularly in low and middle income countries. In Nigeria, are we really low income country? Are you sure? When one man can own the money, the whole money of another. So it's a challenge. So for now, what is our recommendation for today? We say encourage investment in the development of low-cost molecular diagnostic systems such as portable PCRs and NGS devices to ensure accessibility to quality laboratory diagnosis. If we have portable devices that are cost-effective, we can deploy it that does not require the use of electricity and all that. It should be properly deployed, and then almost all the areas that are hard to reach will be able to access that. Establishment of reference diagnostic centers equipped with modern technology is one of the things we are advocating. In our last meeting for our group, a laboratory technical working group, we did advocate that if you look at the Delta State as a whole, how many ELISA technology do we have? Apart from FMC that uses ELISA to screen their blood for before transfusion, I don't know any other center. But we keep on doing blood transfusion every now and then, isn't it? So we are advocating that they should establish reference diagnostic centers. I think part of our recommendation there was that they should pick out some hospitals in the states and provide the basic ELISA equipment there so that all blood that will be transfused in the states should pass through such centers. So that's part of the recommendation we're making here. And then we are saying that training of healthcare personnel to enhance diagnostic ability. These new technologies are very technical. Therefore, personnel using them should be properly trained. If you train the personnel very well, it's going to make maximum use of it. Oftentimes they will accuse us and say, we brought machine, we don't want it to work. We've heard that in Delta State, isn't it? Yes. So we don't want the machine to work because we want to do it the other way. Did you actually train us? When you were making arrangement to go and buy the machine, did you involve us? You did not. There are policies for acquiring new technologies. The MOU must be, you will bring it, you will install it, you will train the staff. Isn't it? Yes. But what we do today, somebody from one office will just go and buy the equipment, dump it in your center, and then they will politicize it and publicize it everywhere that they have given you equipment. But we don't have effective use for it because even the end user is not trained on how to use it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Collins, for that beautiful lecture. Please put your hands together for him again. I think we are here now for product presentation and refreshment. And for the product presentation, I want to invite the beautiful Lady Rita, to help us do the presentation while the item 7 or 6 is still ongoing. Thank you, Lady Rita, please. Put your hands together for her.
How many minutes? 10 minutes. Where is the representative?
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Hello house. Hello. Hi. Are we happy? Okay, my name is Rita and I'm here to present our products and services from Wonderful Biotech, Fine Care, like you all know. I'm the marketing and sales manager, Wonderful Biotech Nigeria. I'm a medical laboratory scientist by profession, so I'm one of you guys. So for this presentation, I would like to introduce to the house our common slogan. If I say wonderful, you say racing for life. Are we together? Yes. Wonderful, racing for life. You do that with a thumbs up. Wonderful, racing for life. Thank you. So it's a great pleasure to be doing this presentation to the house today. And for this presentation, first of all, Wonderful Nigeria is on LinkedIn. Please, you can find us in the brochure, and also you can also scan the barcode to follow us on LinkedIn. So for the presentation, I will be focusing on these 4 points: the company overview, our technologies, our solution for antimicrobial resistance, and our businesses. So Wonderful Fine Care, like we all know, has been in existence since 1992. And we are the topmost point of care company in China and one of the biggest, largest IVD companies in the world. And for the past 33 years, I'm still counting, Wonderful has over 3,000 professional employees and 20 subsidiaries focusing on research and development, manufacturing and production of rapid diagnostics reagents and equipment. Hello. Hi. Please, your junior colleague is standing before you. Kindly grant me your audience, please. Okay, Wonderful was founded by Professor Lee, who is the Executive Director. He's a professor in chemical engineering, graduated from the South China University of Technology, and actually Professor Wang. graduated from the University of Jinan. She's in medicine and biochemistry. So, we are dedicated to improving the efficiency of laboratories, hospitals, and also our immediate communities. We are actively involved in the fight against diseases worldwide. Just like in 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we were at the forefront of this particular fight, and that was when we launched our COVID-19 Total Solution. It's an antigen antibody test kit. And upon our first production, our kits were approved by the National Medical Products of Administration. And we've been able to maintain a constant growth in our revenue and net profits. As you can see, in 2021, we hit about 800 billion USD. And these revenues generated have been utilized in the best way, in that 10% of our annual revenue is invested in research and development. In China, we have about three of our manufacturing factories located in Guangzhou, in Shenzhen, in Hangzhou, and we have one in the US, in Chicago, San Diego to be precise, and another one in Tokyo, in Japan. We have over 800 plus research and development staff who are professionals in biochemistry and in clinical medicine. And we've invested in over 400 valid patents, ensuring that we stay at the top edge of our technologies. Wonderful has a corporate campus, about 4 corporate campuses in China, which is as large as 117 meters square, which is equivalent to the size of a 16 football field. As you can see, I might not be able to read all of that out, but our manufacturing factories cover about 60,000 meters square, which produces daily 3 million test kits, and we are still improving. So far, so good. Our products and services meet the highest level of standard you can ever think of, because we've been qualified and we've gotten recognition from a lot of international organizations. For example, in the WHO, in China, in the US, in the EU, in Canada, in Australia, and so on and so forth. These are all these. We recently joined the IFCC in 2024, and we have about over 600 registered certifications, as you can see on the slide here. Now, let's talk about our technologies. Wonderful is a point of care company, but we don't only focus on point of care. We look way beyond point of care. And we have other extensive product line which goes way beyond mechanisms and production of machines. We have our immunocolloidal gold platform. We have our immunofluorescence platform. We have our electrochemistry platform, chemiluminescence, molecular diagnosis, and the HPLC platform. And we have the pathological platform, which is for staining, histology to be precise. Now, providing scenario-targeted solution is one of our major goals, where we provide services for prevention and screening, diagnosis, treatment, monitoring, and rehabilitation. We provide services for the laboratories, both in hospital labs and external laboratories. In the clinical departments, in the EU, OR, ICU, and so on and so forth. Our immunocolloidal gold covers 3 major three major platforms, which is fertility, drug of abuse, and infectious diseases. Now, immunocollateral code has to do with our test strips, qualitative test strips to be precise. Now, for fertility, we are the #1 manufacturers of fertility test kits for the European market and export volumes, as you can see them on the slide. Likewise, for the domestic North American market, we are the #1 manufacturers of these test kits, and infectious diseases, we support global and public health services. And one test HIV-1 and 2 test kits has gained the WHO pre-qualification. We have the test kits, HIV-1 and 2, and we also have the HIV test kits that come as a combo. So this is our test menu here. We have hepatitis B. I'll just highlight on the very unique ones. We have the hepatitis HIV-1 and 2 antibody. We have the HIV-1 and 2 oral test. And we have the combo, antigen-antibody combo. We have HIV, HCV, hepatitis B, and VDRL combo, combination, and so on and so forth. Dengue, fever, testing, and so on. As you can see, for those who were asking if services we offer is just for machines, we also have this. This is our immunocollateral gold platform. So down to immunofluorescence. Now, this is our machines, our immunoassay analyzer. We have the FS113, the FS114, FS205, and FS301. We've sold a lot of units here in Nigeria and worldwide because of our outstanding 2,000 in Nigeria to be precise. So we are the number one in the market, so far so good, with quality and best services you can ever get. So these machines are easily distributed into the different cadres we have in our hospital settings, down to from primary to secondary and tertiary. For the primary cadre, for facilities that have units that have sample output from 1 to 10, that don't have more than 10 in a day, they can make use of the FS114. The FS114 is a single channel test machine that has a battery life that can actually perform over 200 samples when fully charged. So the battery can stand for 21 hours. And the temperature control, and it's a Linux operating system. For the secondary cadre, we can recommend the FS205, which has 20 sample carousels. This is for facilities that have large sample volume, for like 1 to 50 samples per day. Then for our FS301, it's a fully automated analyzer that runs 40 samples at a go. Okay, this is more detailed information about our FS114. It is portable, convenient, you get your results instantly, 3 to 15 minutes. Turnaround time is interesting. So reliable, accurate, and the sound quality control, temperature control. So this is our test menu for our immunofluorescence gold platform. We have about 60 parameters which can be analyzed with these machines. We recently added our cancer marker CA125, rheumatoid factor, anti-CCP, ASO, and vitamin B12. And these machines are easily upgraded. It's not like if there's a new production or if there's a new introduction of parameter, you have to abandon it and buy another one. No, you can upgrade it even as a scientist. You can upgrade it on your own to be able to accommodate the new products. We're now talking about antimicrobial resistance. In our program, I noticed somebody will be speaking on that. So WHO has recorded that in Nigeria, particularly, we have by 2050, we'll be having a death rate in Africa, we'll be having a death rate of about 4,150,000 associated with antimicrobial resistance. And in Asia, because Asia has the highest value, 4,730,000 death rates, all associated to antimicrobial resistance. Now, as scientists, we already know in the microbiology department, we know what we face. On a normal day, when you're doing MCS, sensitization and all, you see a patient that is resistant to almost all the antibiotics, and you don't even know what to do. You can't help but feel pity for this person. So in a case where this person is in their condition and the person is faced with this kind of thing, what do? So there's for OneFold, we always support the health sector. By so doing, CRP, PCT is a very good parameter to be used in monitoring of antibiotics. You don't just flood a patient system with antibiotics, especially in the ICU or NICU, where you have patients down with bad sepsis or some kind of infection. When you place a patient on antibiotics, it is important to monitor. And the monitoring requires constancy because you need to know if this antibiotic is working effectively or not. Am I giving this patient an overdose? Should I reduce the dosage or should I stop? So it is very important because the more you expose a patient's system to antibiotics, you're also reducing the person's immune ability to accommodate that particular antibiotics, and you cause the person to be resistant to that abuse, the abuse of that particular drug. So CRP, I'm introducing CRP and PCT to us scientists, so we can bring this information back home to our MDs or the doctors in the hospital, so they have to recommend CRP, especially in the pediatric units. Instead of requesting for wider, why not request for CRP, which is more specific and accurate? This is just it's what I just explained earlier. Okay, exactly what I talked about. So now to tell you a story about Nisa Premier. Nisa Premier Hospital is one of the top private hospitals in Abuja. They recently patronized us, and they are grateful for this. So we introduced our FS114 to the pediatric unit. So before now, Nisa Premier has the laboratory situated in another building, while the main hospital in another building. So in a case where the doctor requests CRP for a child, regardless the urgency, they have to pull the samples, and then they must transport the samples to the laboratory in another building, which takes like 2 to 4 hours. And the turnaround time of the results is affected, and the patient too is affected. So we introduced FX114 to them, as you can see here in the picture, and automatically the turnaround time went as low as between 20 minutes, result is being released. And this encouraged the doctors to request for this test even more, because it was a huge discouragement that you request for this particular test and you're not getting these professionals working here, and we have over 2,000 installations done so far. So these are the services we offer. Free. I was telling some persons that came to the table that OneFold actually offers after-sales services. We don't, and so on, anything you can think of. And so on, anything you can think of. We also sponsor research. We sponsor research as scientists. In case you want to venture into any very interested research, OneFo is ready to sponsor you. So this is also a way of us giving back to you. We have partners. The IFCC, we joined the IFCC in 2024. We are members, and we partner with the Academy of Medical Sciences, we partner with the Guild of Medical Directors, we partner with the Pediatric Association of Nigeria, and we have over 20 publications, or papers published on clinical chemistry and laboratory medicine. Okay.
Where is this?
Okay, I want to talk about
What's this like?
this is our campus in China. This is a place where modernity meets nature. We don't just offer pleasure to be in the midst of important personalities. I've not been able to attend the AMSI conference like this as a scientist because of work. But I'm really glad I'm here today and I'm talking to you guys. Thank you and God bless. So, but I will not be good for 3 questions, please. If you want to, if you're not clear on anything, if there's something you want to understand or difficulties you had in the past or confusion, please I can clear the air. Is there any question?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was actually a wonderful presentation. And I must attest that your blog is good because the music is a good one. But I want to throw more light on this research sponsorship. I'm much more interested in that. So I want to hear more on that. Thank you.
Okay, for that particular one, meet me privately, we'll talk about it. Yes, please. Yeah. Any other question? Any other question, please?
What is a CRP? You said it's an investigation.
CRP, C-reactive protein. Yes. Okay, any further questions? Any further questions? Okay, I'll call it a day. Thank you. That's the last.
You said you are doing promo. Can you throw more light on this?
Okay, there's a promo on our FS114 analyzer. Its original price is 950,000, but it has been brought down to 300,000. So if you're ready, it's for a cash. 300,000 flats. Yes.
FS112 for hormonal, cardiac matters, cardiac function, PLC, Other one. One more presentation.
So that will be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please put your hands together. Last in the program, we have Raphael Anasa from Signcare Biomedical Limited. That will be our last presentation for the day. Please come on stage.
What is happening that?